with no turnaround on any of the resolutions or comments or questions that we asked NSFAS to do, because it almost seems as if they're not bothered. And that's why I would be in favor of saying that you can't be earning a salary for something you're not doing. You can't be useless and then be rewarded with a fat paycheck while students are hungry, homeless, hopeless, and confused across institutions of higher learning. I did mention that it's almost as if NSFAS has forgotten why they were established to begin with. And I was told that I was being a child that's throwing their toys out of the court. Alas, here we are again. So I don't understand. And I mean, I want to rope this into the opening remarks by the board chairperson. It does not make sense for you to brag and be boastful about how you have a revenue base that is 5 times more that of Capitec, but your management of it is a mess. It's like it's an absolute, like, how do you have confidence to usher such, and then the results of the management of that base are that which find us seated here today and discussing what we're discussing? It does, because what that communicates is that yes, you understand the base, but you don't know what to do with that revenue base. You don't understand your mandate, the board and the institution itself, and even the DG himself, even the ministry also is unable to crack the whip in a manner that is going to ensure that there are deliverables that will be in the best interest of students. But I'll rest there, Chair. I have a number of questions to ensure that the first one to the Chair, through you, Chair, to the board Chair, on when you mentioned in your opening remarks that the minute media articles started circulating, hell broke loose. Those were your words. You said hell broke loose, and that affected the relationship between NSFAS and banks and the institution. Break that down, like, for clarity, so that I think I will get something out of your response, hopefully. 2, notwithstanding the outstanding investigation reports that we're yet to see, just out of your own assessment as NSFAS and the board, how did you get to a point where you had the 5.2 billion wrongfully awarded contracts, but funding for students? Like, how did you get there? And how far are you with your consequence management within on, because surely you know what that happened. I mean, your CFO is here, acting CEO still here, so somebody must have been able to account to how that happened, and there must have been a consequence management system or trail of some sort put in place that should have seen at least 1 or 2 heads chopped, outside of the 2 suspended people with zero clarity of why they're suspended, but also they're innocent according to the chair, but there's an investigation. So that's just messy. So give us the consequence management there. You said that you still have 31,224 students that are currently not funded, and the reason there are the confusion. There's a confusion. Do you have a turnaround deadline for that? When will you be able to have gotten the 31,224 to clarity, to zero? The next question is on the data received from institutions that leads to the clearing of that zero, DG. If NSFAS is saying that some of the responding to give the necessary feedback, surely you should have cracked the whip, particularly because this is not a new cry from NSFAS itself. They're guilty of a whole lot of sins, but equally the people who are supposed to also play their part, i.e. the institutions, are part of what aid NSFAS's confusion right now, and most importantly, leave students left behind. So why, DG? Why do we have that case? Is it that institutions really don't care? They don't want to? Is there nobody who answers the phone? Are you unable to go storm into somebody's office and demand data? Do they not know how to generate data? What's going on? Number 6, on the 44,461 student appeals, that depend on the institution response is still DG. After your response on why you've gotten here, do you have a turnaround deadline to say when you will be done? Because the last thing we want is for you to be giving us a dish of complaints all the time, but then you're not saying, we'll see, this is by this time we can expect that this should be completed. So you mentioned, I think it was the acting CEO that mentioned that they're improving their portal, that they want to have a WhatsApp system directly, but you don't want to manage calls because the portal itself is supposed to tell you what these things are. But then your portal doesn't work. Your links are not working. Just this morning, Honorable King and I were on the phone with a mother of a student who has suddenly lost funding for no reasons, and then they go to the bank, there's no money available in the bank, but then also the portal is inaccessible at all. So if you're going to say that you don't want to have a call center managed for people to respond to, then your portal must give the answers that you were saying students can get an answer from. But currently that portal doesn't work. It's ineffective. So what work have you done to improve the portal, and how do you know then that students can have confidence in this portal if the portal is not working, and then but also the call center is not working? So pretty much students are on their own. The only way they can reach you, you're saying they can't reach you there because it's a waste of your time and a waste of your resources. On the, I need this in writing, Chairperson, the answer on the pilots. Which institutions are these? Because you're vague. Your presentation speaks to they being pilots and then one other institution as well in advance. What are these? Where? What's the name? What are the names of these institutions? Please submit those in writing. But also you can list them now because there's 5 of them, so that we can take notes. And then with your future projections of efficiency in 2024, I'm struggling to understand how you are suddenly going to have the capacity to be able to have a 72-hour turnaround response to funding for students. You're struggling with everything and anything that it is that you can do as an ABC right now. So where will this, where do you get the confidence to say that in 2024, in 72 hours, you'll have responses? All of a sudden, where's the capacity? Are you firing everybody and replacing them with a new set of HR, or what? Is that what you're doing? Are we seeing more people, or are you going to a training session? Where's this confidence coming from? And then on your projection also for 2024, for there being no manual applications that you're going to be working on. So rural South Africa, your target market, your client base is poor, majority of it. And we exist in a South Africa where students live in communities that don't even have cell phones. They depend on those manual applications. Have you partnered with the Department of Basic Education to make sure that these institutions help students apply? Have you some sort of municipal or provincial approach to make sure applications are received? Because what you were saying, you are struggling with an IT system. You are still trying to figure out how to operate clicks and links. And you are struggling to do that. So what more about students that come from rural club who are still trying to find out what to do? What are you saying to the students? Are you saying they can't, they must, what? I don't understand. That doesn't make sense. So the other one, Chairperson, is on the second last one. I'm almost done. So based on the information provided here on the student accommodations that have been accredited and funded by the institution. So you have 58,444 beds that have been paid on the platform, but 21,903 have been accredited. So that means 62% of the institutions, 62% of the accommodation that you are currently funding is unaccredited. And the reason why I'm asking this is because previously, just yesterday night, I was on the phone with a student in Limpopo from the Letaba TVET College in Zanin that currently lives in an informal settlement that is funded by NSFAS. And how I got to know this is because previously Letaba presented to the portfolio committee at Northlink on the 7th of June at the Northlink Panorama College. The unions there presented to the committee to say that this is an allegation. Letaba refused and said this is a lie. Right? But then they also responded in writing to say, but they will plead with you to accredit them. Just yesterday, a student that lives in one of those informal settlements, who is a beneficiary of NSFAS, confirmed that this is true. So we need to know, so when are you going to get it right? So you can't have a set of standards of student accommodation. You give people money to live wherever, and then you have informal settlements that students are living in, that you are funding. So why are you not accrediting? There's nobody that knows what to measure the size of the window, that is able to do a feasibility study on the, like, I don't get it. Do you not have people that are able to accredit? Where are they? And I think Honorable Ithia spoke to this earlier. You've been promising to say you were going to do this. And I am pretty sure even before I became a member of this committee at the beginning of this administration, this was a problem. And most definitely was still a problem when I was a student representative in the previous administration. So what is your problem with accreditation? What is holding you up? And how are you confident to have students living in shacks and you're paying the service providers for shacks? And then while you're at it, in your response to that, please submit in writing. So because you have told this committee in writing now that indeed 62% of your funded accommodation is unaccredited, give us a list of where those institutions are. Where are these? I can tell you of one. It's Letaba TVET College in Zanini. I know definitely, and the name of the area that I'm referring to is Madala Para. That's where majority of the students of Letaba and Zanini live. So, but for the other institutions, you must know. So that also, when this committee does work to help you on methods of accreditation, but also methods to fast-track relationships with institutions and service providers, we're able to have a multi-stakeholder approach to tell you, if then lastly, Chairperson, you know, the reason why in my opening I said that this feels like a tick box exercise every time we meet it, because we come up with brilliant ideas sometimes and solutions. I mean, we now the other day, as the DA proposed a position paper on how to deal with student accommodation and how to deal with funding partnerships with the private sector, a whole lot of things. And that position paper is nothing new. It's position papers on content that was created by people who have even passed on before us, like Prof. Bazoli, all of them. They've been saying these things. So why can't you copy and paste? Is it an ego thing? Is it a politics thing? Did they say that because it was proposed by somebody, you can't adopt it? If that's the case, if you can't adopt it because the DA said it or maybe the EFF said it, then why can't you go to a private institution and ask for advice so that they can say it's their solution and not ours? Like, why? What is your problem? I am convinced that you're not bothered. You couldn't care less. Because you have everything at your disposal. You have university research teams across South Africa. One institution is within the same province as your office there overlooking the harbor. Because you guys look at the ocean when you wake up when students are dying of hunger and they don't have homes. And they institutionalize for mental health problems. You're drinking coffee, looking at the harbor and the ocean, with a Seattle coffee downstairs. So, like, you have everything at your disposal. If there is no thinking capacity in-house, outsource the brains. They are there. Use them. And I don't know, Chairperson, I said this previously. I struggle to understand whether it's because maybe your children, because of the kind of lives you are able to afford yourselves, is it because those kids, you guys are able to fund them, that you're not bothered? Like, is it because you didn't give birth to the people whose lives are being destroyed because of people that have absolutely no clue why they're sitting in positions that they're sitting in? Is that it? Was it supposed to be your child whose life is being destroyed in order for you to get it right? Were you waiting for one, but because it's not personal, you're not bothered? Is that it? I'm trying to understand, where's the humanity here? And that's why I'm saying, if it's a case of honestly you can't think of a way out of this, we have institutions, we have private companies and civil society that have given you solutions for you to copy and paste. That's all. But yeah, before we degenerate, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sasal. Honorable Shikwambana. Honorable Shikwambana.
No, thank you, Chair. And greetings to everyone present here. You know, Chair, we've got a serious problem with the NSFAS. Maybe it is because they've centralized their offices from universities. They are now settled here in Cape Town. And they can't see what really is happening on the ground. And they can't see how students are actually struggling on the ground. Just a day before yesterday, I was at the University of the Free State. And when I arrived there, I found students at the gate protesting. Then I asked, what is the main issue of your protest? Their concern was that they even received their allowances. And in the process, 6 students were arrested. And they are protesting, they are saying we do not have food. Our accommodation is not paid. Transport allowances are not paid. They are being evicted from the residences where they are actually staying. Them are even resulting like they are even dating the landlord of those buildings. I mean, referring to women. There's one lady that came direct to me that I had no choice. I'm dating this guy I don't love. But because I must make sure that I've got at least a shelter of my own. NSFAS is not paying my accommodation allowance. And now, there are close to 1,300 students in the University of the Free State since from March up until to date. They haven't received their allowances and they qualify. They haven't received their allowances. So now I suggest that NSFAS must look at this matter. They must decentralize. They must decentralize and go back to universities. Let them be there every day and experience what these kids are actually experiencing. Like, I mean, students are there to study in these institutions. You don't pay their food, you don't pay their accommodation, you don't pay their transport, and you expect them to wake up every day in the morning, go to class, and still function properly inside the lecture hall. And should they fail, next year you're not going to fund them. You're going to defund them and you're going to sit in the problem of what? Funding. And you're the one creating all these crises for these students. Can you please try to be human beings? If we have surpassed that stage of being human beings, you are something else that we do not know. Because our kids, our people, our students are struggling on the ground. Let me perhaps go to the issue of the IT. And with these allegations that I have also, that there are people within you, NSFAS, in your offices there, chair and the acting CEO, that there are some senior and prominent people there who are able to access the system its own of IT, and who are not even supposed to be part of the people that operate that system, who happens to be the one who created this mess we're sitting with today. They block and stop every payment that was supposed to go to the students. We sit months and weeks and long time with, students without receiving their allowance because of the internal politics which are happening there in NSFAS. Because they are fighting you, Chair, you are also fighting them. Because they are fighting you, acting CEO, you are also fighting them. And when they hold you with the system, they are compromising the students on the ground. What are you doing with that? Because I'm well aware that you are aware of what I'm talking about. Maybe it is because NSFAS is full of people who are politicians. I'm told you are the former SASCO member. And I see former SASCO president there. I am like, yo. This is a problem. Politicians are sitting, they have to deal with our people, and when they fight politically, they are using the system to suffer the students on the ground. Then we've got an issue. Now with the issue of defunding, Chair, you spoke of accepting that indeed some of the students have defunded them, but it's not their fault. It's your fault. And then you have defunded them. And let me tell you what you have caused to those kids. Now, majority of them are no longer at school as we speak now. Majority of them, they've left. They cannot continue with their studies. They qualify, it's your fault, you defund them. How are you going to trace someone from KZN, someone from Messina in Limpopo, Venda there, who have left UCT because was defunded, not because of their fault, but because of your fault. And now that person is sitting at home. That person was at least maybe the last hope in the family to say this person is going to change our life. And now your system goes and not capture correctly what should be captured. And you come to a conclusion of defunding that person and the person goes home. How are you going to trace back that student? And how are you going to close the gap that the students have already lost? You have created a trauma. You have traumatized these kids. Maybe we haven't heard of some suicides that were committed because of the crisis you have caused yourselves. And I can tell you now that it's a matter of time we have such reports that there are students who have committed suicide who were funded by NSFAS while they are fully qualifying to be funded by NSFAS. You are destroying lives. You are destroying lives. And then with the issue of Otta's report, it's fun. But let me ask this, acting CEO and the chair. Before that, Chair, you says to us that the CEO is not at fault, blah, 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 blah. But I'm worried that we are sitting with an acting CEO while we are told that the CEO is not at fault. Why do we suspend the CEO who is not at fault? Why are we not supposed to be having him here with us? Who should be the one answering to some of the questions that directly implicates her according to the author's report? I mean him to say, according to the author's report. But the author's report tells us that these direct payment companies that we have appointed yourselves do not qualify. They are not even registered to provide financial services. By the way, they are coming through corners. They are providing financial services through corners. While there were companies that applied, and those companies did not make it. Now I come because my friend owns a bank. I go to my friend, I say to my friend, let's work together here. There's money there, let's go and eat it. And there's someone who sits in the board, approve those things. And you know what happened? This thing's how it is. There was a meeting that agreed between this person who's supplying through corners, right? And someone who sits here in your board, who says, come through this one. We'll give you these things, but my share should be reserved. And where is the share coming from? You are taking from the students. Because you are charging students. Students, when they withdraw for each and every 100 rand that they withdraw, 12 rand gone. How much are you paying them? 1.5. So even if you pay these allowances timely, students are still going to suffer because you are charging them. Each and every 100 rand, you are taking 12 rand. And you are giving them 1.5. Maybe you must increase that man, so that you can charge them and make your pockets full as well, because that's what you are here for. But let me ask before that, before all these companies were appointed, right? You've got stakeholders in the universities. And amongst the stakeholders is the students' movement in the universities. You'll agree with me that you've got your SAUs that operate somewhere in Ireland, but they think they are in charge. And then you've got your EFF Student Command in the campuses, you've got your DASO, you've got your SASCO, Youth League, ACO, PASMA, SADESMO, and all those structures in the universities that represent the students, by the way, the end receivers of this direct payment that we have enforced to them. I want to check with you, Chair, and the acting CEO. I'm not sure if the acting CEO will be able to answer, but I want to check that before these things can be done, was there a way of reaching out to these stakeholders in the universities, particularly the structures that represent the students in the university, your SRCs, any structure that you may think of that is representing the students there? Was there some sort of consultations before done, so that you take these people into confidence to say this is what is going to happen, and they also advise, or they also have some input before you appoint friends like what we have done now? But let me tell you, Chair, I can tell you that SASCO was approached before in 2020. And I've got a proof of that. Maybe the former president of SASCO can attest. He knows that I know. Taus was approached. Taus was approached. Then Youth League also was approached. No, Youth League, they approached these young ones. Those who are in training of being tagged. So now, SASCO was approached. All these alliances of the ANC or PYA, let me say PYA, were approached, but exclusive of other structures. And you know how we also knew that these people were approached? They were even bragging about it in their own statement, writing that, well, the new system is going to be what? Introduced. That is going to make sure that it dispenses funds to what? To students. I guess they must be seen to students as people who are working, who are advanced than any other political party. They go and brag. When they brag, they are telling us, hey, fella, there's a criminal activity which is about to happen here. And today we are seeing it. The criminal activity is open, clear. There was a mandatory requirement that we asked, and then you spoke about the Honorable Lee, of 20 mandatory requirements for companies to be appointed. You go for first time, you realize that yes, our people are not getting in here. You try again, second time, again, our people are not getting in here. Meetings are happening, we are consulting what? South. And I want to question again, Chair and the acting CEO, the relationship between the suspended CEO and the president of South. Because they've been constantly meeting, discussing all these things. And now we are sitting with problems. And you check South how they speak when they are interviewed and how they're defending this direct payment thing and these companies that which are problems. They come with a view to say universities are the ones who are sponsoring the strikes of the students now because the bread has been taken away from the universities. Yes, you took the bread away from the universities. Level one, they were criminals. I agree with that. Take it away from them. But who did you give? You took a bread from a criminal, you bring a new criminal. You bring a new criminal. So that's your problem. The problem is not the direct payment system that you are trying to introduce to the students. The problem is these people you have brought Izaga who do not qualify. So please look into that. But I also want to suggest that higher education, the department, to say, but something must be done to NSFAS because we've got serious issues here. You know, we've got crisis of accommodation in the university. And with that crisis that which we have, you sit with a lot of people who have applied to provide or ease the burden of accommodation to universities. In your system, you do not accredit them. You just sit on top of that. Where are you taking those kids? You are taking them to go and look for accommodation outside the institution. You know what you are subjecting those kids to? Criminal activity. They're going to meet people there in the communities who are unconscious there. And when they look at the students, they are looking for a phone, a laptop, right? You are exposing our students to criminals outside there. They end up going to Emukuku. There's a lady in Venda. Not in Venda, but Capricorn. In 2020, if you still remember, who was killed in a accommodation where she said that if you check that accommodation, it was a Mukuku. And that lady was what? Beneficiary. Why? Because her Tibet College does not have a space to accommodate her. The university does not have a space to accommodate her. Then what is the last choice? The last choice is to go to a nearby Mukuku and rent yourself a place there. And you expose yourself to a number of things. It's either they have been raped, they have been killed, they have been mugged. A lot of things are happening. When I was still a student, I'm moving from my rest. I'm passing Mandela Bridge, going to UJ. I'm walking. When I walk in front of me, there are two guys at the back, there are two guys as well. I'm in the middle here. Before I knew it, one of them came to me. What's your name? Because I was not aware, yeah, Amanda attack. Now he's pretending to be my friend. Before I know it, the gun was here. Give me the phone. And I'm going to write a test, and I failed that test that day. No, it was not because of that. A gun, do you know a gun? A gun was pointed at me. And then they took the phone. And when they take the phone, I realized it later, no, man, yeah, I was supposed to have died here. Do I continue to go to school or I go back to my rest and sleep? Let me go, I will see it there. When I get there, I saw flames. So, but the point I'm trying to raise here is that do not sit on top of the buildings that people tried and made an effort to apply to you to say, we want to provide accommodation to the students. Because those people are bringing a solution to institutions that seems not to have what? A solution of accommodating a number of our students. Because it is true that our people are graduating, they're passing matrix, they're coming to university in high numbers. and universities cannot accommodate them, all of them. Please make it a point that you deal with those issues. One of the issues of my concern, Chair, and the board at large. You see, we are sitting with these problems where some of the kids you are defunding them, and some of them you are rejecting them. And one of the reasons at the later stage or previously, it used to say that NSFAS do not have enough funds to accommodate all those people who have applied for NSFAS. Therefore, we are not going to take this number of applicants that have applied for us, though you qualify, but we need a certain number that we have to take. Then I see the other day, I look in one of the articles there in the news, tells me that NSFAS has moved from a building that used to cost 500,000, and now they are going to a new building of 2 million. I'm like, these guys, they have money to pay a rent of 2 million. But they don't have money to fund a qualifying student. You are raising issues of financial challenges in terms of funding a student, but you can move yourself from a building of 500,000 a month to a building of 2 million. How so special? What is happening in that building? Is it so secure to better than the 500,000 building? Because now you know that you are stealing a lot here, there in NSFAS, all of you. Now you need a better secured building, because anytime you can be attacked by these criminals, because you are creating problems for our people. So now I want to understand that why do you move from that building? Why the building was not renovated and made it to meet your standard, that which you all wish to have, the standard of whatever it may be. But you decide to move from this, and then you go to a building that is costing more than what it used to cost. And we've got students, majority of them, who cannot access higher education because they don't have money. They don't have bursary. Maybe you are forgetting one of your primary duty as the government entity. She just pointed it now. Maybe you do not know or what you stand for anymore. Because what you stand for is to at least make sure that you give education or access to education to our people who cannot afford. Here are people qualifying academically, qualifying even also with everything that which you are requiring yourselves to say you want from them, whether they are poor. Before you can fund them, you must ask them how poor they are. They are telling you, this is how poor I am. And after telling you how poor they are, you tell them that we can't find you poor as you are because we do not have money. But we are able to move from this to this building of 2 million. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So those are some of the things that which I wanted to raise with the NSFAS. But also, let me try to check. To say, when you've got this middle person here, remember previously you used to have universities. You will give money to universities, they pay. Now you have taken that thing from the university, and you suspect the universities are the ones fueling the protest within the department. But let me check now, because it seems like this direct payment method of yours, that which you were trying to embark on, it's honestly not working to our students. And our students on the ground are tired. It's a matter of time they come straight to this new building and visit you there. And then by the time they arrive there, it won't be nice. So, but let me ask you, there's no other way that you can come up with, maybe a system that which you can come up with and stop these people from forcing people to come and provide services for you. And you do it direct yourself. You can't come with something that with you can see that inside universities, the first respondent of all these students, they failed you. Now you are coming with Izaga, Mr. Izaga is failing you. So can't you at least try to have these things in source aid manner within yourselves? Be the one directly paying these students so that we know who to fight, because right now we're having a problem now. Where we want to fight, even the students, they are struggling. They don't know whether they should go to the universities, because when they go to universities, they tell them NSFAS. When they go to NSFAS, NSFAS says Izaga. When they go to Izaga, Izaga says NSFAS. But while the students are fighting on the ground, and no one is willing to be the one that takes responsibility to say it's me who's wrong, but I'm trying to correct it. No one want to take that responsibility. And you all know who is at fault. And I just told you now, the delays of payment of allowances is within NSFAS. You must go and fix those things. And I think we must just give you a time frame of 2 weeks. It's within you. You can do it. 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, then you must come back here and tell us how did you resolve the issue of IT there. Of people who, that's why sometimes you find a student receiving millions. It's because these ones who are managing the system from the corner, they wanted to pay themselves, they mistakenly pay what? A student. But the purpose was not to pay for the student, it was to pay for themselves. So I think I also support your input to say let's take their salaries until they fix that problem of IT. Because we will come back here and tell you if that IT matter is not being looked at within NSFAS, we'll come back here. Next year, January, February, or March, going there. These problems will still be existing. Because the problem is not the fruit, it's the root. Thank you very much. No, he's fighting.
Honorable Zondo and then Honorable Yabu.
Thanks, Chair. Since to everybody, a matter of time. One is attempted to not say anything because everything is said. Just a matter of convention, how to express yourself on the same issue. But I think what is left out there is that I don't know why no one is proposing that we divorce the process that recruited is Isaac and Naroko, because with CSA, it seems like it's not seems like it's bad. There's a clock in the process, and that clock is coming back to our faces. We can say it anyhow, but the bottom line is that the process was manipulated, and that manipulation, I feel sorry for the ruling party as the oppositions. We are going to say it's your things, no, and it will seem like we're fighting political battles with the life of our students in our country, because there are many things that have been said, but the bottom line is when you're denying someone an opportunity to study, you're attempting that person to do many things. It's been said that women tend to be to have sex with big brothers so that they get money to study and have food. Then there's nothing said about students who are males, others who attend to be hitmen instead, in order to get easy cash, you know. So all these things come to affect many departments and many sectors of the country because of this fault. So we are going to politic about this, whereas it's like a joke. When the fighter here is saying that it's a pity that in the system of NSFAS, we've got many heads of SASCO, legend, or I don't know what to say, but then it should come back to your face. I think we need to take a firm stand at this committee together so that whenever we are talking about this, we'll be fair to our students, and to resolve this issue. I cannot repeatedly saying that they're also doing this, and there's this problem and that problem. But the bottom line is there was a fraud in the process, and our colleagues know in the NSFAS who did that. Because there is no decision that is taken in a train. Every decision are taken on a table. And there was someone proposed and there's someone seconded. So I don't know why we're not taking this route. I'm proposing that we need to see legal routes to boycott the process that delivered is that in other for service providers, and the process that they delivered in, so that we'll get to the bottom of this issue. Other than that, we'll try to be smart and to talk and prove how can we speak on this issue. At the end of the day, we won't help our students because now we're in one in the potential year outside here, lead the youth formation or not formation, the youth league or the project in the IEP. Then we have a problem now to fund food packs for my student institutions. There's a cry all over the country for food packs because your system doesn't provide food packs. So now this tends to be not your problem, our problem, outside politics. So I don't have ways to say nonsense and all this ways that prove that how angry you are with this matter. But at the end of the day, some of you are in your position because someone helped you. But now you are using your positions to deny students to get the opportunities that you've got when you need it. I won't come here and say I'm from a poor family and I was helped by NSFAS and so forth, trying to prove about the situation. But the bottom line is the country's future depends on the scheme. And if you are killing, because this is what we are doing, we are killing the future of this country. We are exposing this country on many things which are bad. So I'll add that as much as there is a call for institutions of learning to accommodate as many as possible students from the but at the same time, the number that we have already must be able to accommodate it and able to provide for it. And now, Chair, I think I got the answer of why some accommodation in some areas like Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal that they are crying with the cap. They think their price out is more than the cap, because if you sometimes go to Libombo, then you see that there are students who are getting the same amount, 4,500, 45,000 a year, and they're living in a shack. And you have built a complying premises. Then also you're getting 45,000 a year from the students that are residing in your premises. Then you'll be tempted to say, no, let me raise my price, because other students who are paying the same amount, they're living in the shack, but they're paying the same cap. You know, and there are student accommodation that are paying that you see that they deserve the price that they're falling. But what about those places whereby children are living in the shack? And there's nothing in the place. Nothing. So I think we need to be fair. I mean the politics because I like politics. But the only thing that brought me to this space was the love of the people. So some other time I fail to use the situation of our people in order to gain the political argument. But I so wish that all we should know that all political parties are there to serve this nation. So as in the part of administration, you must make sure that you keep up your job. You do what you are hired to do. I want to repeat that if I said to maybe for why there is an NSFAS. Because now we are not doing what the NSFAS is supposed to do. What was in the first place not to do. As a politician, we are not forgetting that, because I don't think I was thinking that it may be 5 years to prove that we are voted for. But NSFAS is just there, good and right. You know? When you find that there are leaders from political space who get to NSFAS but forget that their parties, in order to be on the system, they need to say the same people that are making them to suffer. So I drafted many things. I drafted a letter to you, Chair, and the Minister. I have so much to say, but I feel it means nothing if we're still gonna go on with the process of Isaac and Morocco and all this, because they are the cause of the problem. You know, if you are not able to clean up your house, then the say that you must clean. So that we get people to understand what we want from NSFAS. So I think we have to provide you an opportunity to clean, sweep your house, to make your house in order. We cannot get into a state by saying this one doesn't want this one, so he's using this scheme to make that one. That is not our space. That is your space. If you are given power, use your power to make sure that your place is in order. If you are failing, take you out and put someone who will be able to take a stand and put the institution in the right direction. You know, I feel sorry for anyone who gets to a position and being sabotaged, but at some point I don't feel sorry for a person who doesn't take a stand. Because you cannot clean the house if you cannot take a stand. This is September. We are celebrating the Heritage Month, Chair. We are celebrating the legend. Because this month was called Shapley. There was Charles Day and the Heritage Month. Charles didn't say that, no. He took a stand. Ladies and gentlemen, who's a woman for he took a stand. He had a vision. Want to see a one nation. Anyone who defies that had to go south. I think that approach has proven that as a South Africans, that is how, even as Africans, that is how we rule. That is how we lead. Anyone who goes against the vision that is going to promote and provide the right future must not be the way. So I don't know if we have to tell you how to administration, but I'm putting a stand on you to say we don't want to look at your background. We are coming from the ANC, we are coming from the SARS, that is not the point. I mean, if you are doing well, coming from the ANC, put them well. I appreciate and applaud you. But if you're doing wrong, I won't go on the background. I will tell you do right. Because I expect the same whenever I'm given a chance. It's fair to everyone to say that you have to do the basic right. If everyone tries to intimidate you, use your powers. Use the law, the right powers, not abuse the power that you are given. So I'm proposing that we need to try to not support this this process. I don't have a problem with direct payment. In fact, it's one accepting direct payment, and that's one of the universities, because you see challenges are the same. If I may take into university, we're talking about 30 rands from each student. But now this reduction, the amount should be above the, you know. So I don't want to get into a space to play figures and say which one was the best, because he gave as he said, as he can say, and start affecting the process. I hope that will help our students. I don't want to talk to dwell much on many things that said. I want to repeat. I want to repeat. Thank you.
Honorable Yabo, why are you saying the FP says?
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon. Greetings to everyone in the room.
Bring this thing.
Continue to.
Want to hear you there, please.
Chair, I wouldn't want to attempt to break a Shkwambala's record of speaking for 25 minutes or come close to the second speaker, King, for 19 minutes, or not even the third speaker, for 16 minutes. I would rather try and speak for less, but to make succinct points that are very pungent and will lead us to finding solutions that work. The purpose of this meeting, as outlined in the agenda, is to speak to the annual report of NSFAS for 2020 and 2021, to speak to the issues of disbursement of funding and allowances to students, the rollout of the new direct payment system, sorting out outstanding students' appeals, understanding the absence of the CEO, the query system, the student accommodation accreditation system, as well as the response to the memorandum of the students for the picket they held here in Cape Town on the 16th of August. This is why we are here. But the major reason why we are here, out of all the bullet points I've read from the agenda, is to ultimately find solutions that work for a student who does not have a plan B. Out of the 1.1 million students, I can tell you that the vast majority of the students do not have a plan B. If they don't get money disbursed, they don't have an uncle to call to close the gap, a mother or a father to call to close the gap. In actual fact, the reality is that many of these students, these disbursements represent what is part of the meager basket of income of the families they come from. If you do not count SASA, so it becomes an addition to the basket that SASA gives the family. And if these payments are delayed, it means that there is a direct impact on the livelihood of not just the student, but the family. And so one day without the disbursement is one day too many. It's one day too many. And it's also inhumane to quantify the time lapses in days when we are dealing with lives. The Act, the NSFAS Act, number 56 of 1999, is very instructive, Chair, on the type of entity that NSFAS is, as it relates to its inner workings. We know that it's a Schedule 3A entity as defined within the Constitution of the Republic. But moreover, the Act stipulates that NSFAS is governed and administered by the board. Full stop. Let me repeat that. NSFAS is governed and administered by the board. Full stop. All other functions similar to the executive officer that is appointed by the board, as per section 9, subsection 1, who in the content of the Act is regarded as a secretary of the board, without voting, emanate from the board. And although the Act demands that the board seat at least twice a year, the addition of the word administers enjoins the board to take grace in running the ship. Chair, I say these things because it almost comes as normalcy for boards to regard themselves as at arm's length from the entity because of King's report. In this instance, King 4. But the Act becomes instructive as the Act that allows for the board of NSFAS not only to govern NSFAS, but to administrate it. And what is of interest to me is to understand what are the delegated powers to the executive officer as contemplated in section 9, subsection 1. To what extent has the board delegated its powers to this office? That's the first question. The second question that I have is, what are the delegated powers to the executive committee? The Act enjoins the chair of the board to be the chair of the executive committee. The Act further continues to say that decisions of the executive committee are equivalent to decisions of the board. Though the board reserves the right to revoke decisions that may have been taken by the executive committee, any action that would have emanated from a decision of the executive committee is not immediately made null and void. If that decision, if that action was in pursuance of a decision of EXCO, should the board at a later stage revoke the decision of EXCO? And I mention this because it's of interest to me. The decisions that may have been pursued by the executive officer and his team. And by the way, the Act is also clear that further appointments to assist this executive officer in section 9, subsection 1, are also made by the board. And so I will then bring it home. The CEO, the CIO, the CFO, all the executive members are employed by the board. We should then assume that but I want to allay the fears that come with boards and wanting to keep an arm's length from operations and the execution of day-to-day functions. That in this instance, chair of the committee, through you, addressing the chair of the board, the board is fully empowered by the Act to administer. I don't want us to go to the dictionary to get the meaning of administer. I don't even want us to go that distance. But in terms of the NSFAS Act, the NSFAS is a creature that is run, governed, and administered by the board. I want to emphasize. And I also want to make a point. This scheme is recently from an administrative, a period of administration. And so to seek out a solution that goes back to a period we've just come out of will be akin to what the revered scientists would have said, that doing the same thing, hoping for different results, is equivalent to insanity or madness. And it means now the solutions to these problems that are before us sit squarely in the purview of the board. Before we invite the executive authority, the executive authority should be the solution of last resort, because what is available to him within the framework of law is what we have already come out of. I would not advise that. I would advise that the board stops throwing king codes in our faces. When we have an act that is instructive. Stop throwing king code in our face. The act is instructive. It is clear. NSFAS is governed by the board and administered by the board. Any other thing must be understood. This is why the CEO or the executive officer, as is stated in the Act, sits as a secretary to the board. No voting powers. With no voting powers. I'm sure you've done your inductions. The Act is instructive. I don't want to repeat what a lot of the members have said. I've heard a lot of politics as well, which I deem to be very unnecessary. I know it's a silly season. People are trying to get as ahead as possible with their political parties. But we can't politicize this one, unfortunately. As excited as we may want to be or to act, we can't politicize this one. We must enjoin the board to do what it is empowered to do by the act. There are no gray areas in that. So I will ask, Chair, that the board folds its sleeves, puts on its boots, and do the work that the act requires of you. I will ask the last 3 questions and sit down before I attempt to break records. Sabotage has been cited. Can we get specifics of this sabotage? Who are the 30% subcontractors of the fintech companies? And what work have they done? As part of what was advertised. Why did the organization not opt for a solution that enables it to pay directly to the students instead of appointing fintech companies as middlemen? What was the driving or the driver of the choice between the two? Buying a solution, do it yourself, and appointing fintech company. What informed? At which level was this decision taken? Expo or the board taking reference that the Act says the decisions of this are as good as decisions of the board? But we are disappointed that we are here. We are tired of beautiful presentations. NSFAS, you have some of the best presentations. I was saying to someone, the presentations are like the screensaver. The inner workings are like a war zone. You see a screensaver and you book on this vacation that looks nice. You get to the destination, they tell you, hey, put the screensaver. Very disappointing. I think members have covered the expenses. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Yabo, and thank you very much to all honorable members. I'm not logged on. Oh, thank you, Honorable. Thank you very much to all honorable members for your comments, questions, and recommendations. Chairperson, Mr. Khoza, and DG, a lot of what members have said, to some extent, is not new. And that's based on the fact that a lot of what you have also shared is not new. A lot of what students have been concerned about is not new. Besides, I guess, the direct payments system matter. I want to try and find the way most succinctly forward. But before I go there, perhaps I want to also well, also ask if you did respond, did you so quickly? And check also to the memorandum that came from students. You accounted to us on it, but did you send the responses directly to them as well? Because that's also really important. Because what we're trying to do, I think Honorable Shikwana was using it, selective consultation, apparent selective consultation, or perhaps high-level consultation. And whether or not the high-level consultation with the SRC does trickle down to the student population. I'd like to believe there are many student bodies that have come and accounted on SALS, not only SALS, but even the SRCs. Right? They've come and said, no, we've had such and such an engagement, and we rejected or accepted what was being presented to us. But whether or not that information trickles down to students is something else. And we also need to think about how we can ensure that student populations get the information that we are sharing with SALS, SATFETA, or SRCs. And that goes back to our communication strength, and we don't want to talk about this at length, right? We need a commitment from yourselves today on comms. Where are we? Do we have the money? The last time we spoke in July, in early August, 11th August, we don't have money. Have you been able to find the money? And I want to ask you, why do we want to outsource that? Why do we want a service provider for comms, as opposed to just putting together our own unit with the communications manager, with the digital marketing manager, with even two people on it, they can start. And then we can see how we expand it, right? But we need people to start. When you speak, I hear you. I understand things a little bit more. Here's a comment. Yeah, she can speak. Give her a Facebook, you put her on live, and then she communicates and she makes people understand it better. Because right now, the biggest concerns we even have is that students don't understand what we're doing. There are students that don't understand that in the past, their own institutions actually did have a service provider who was dispersing the funds on behalf of the institution because the institution did not have capacity to disperse the allowance. They don't know that. They don't know that there are institutions that could disperse on their own because they had the capacity, and there are those that could not. And now what we are trying to do as this NSFAS of this government is to centralize all of that, or better coordinate and integrate all of that so that we can better account. They do not know that. And what is more concerning is that they have a view that those companies operated better. One of the most greatest disappointments of NSFAS for me is what even Honorable Shugambara said. I think in the end, Honorable Zonda could not hear him mention. Then at the end, he made it clear. He said, I don't have a problem with the direct payment system. Honorable Shugambara said the same thing. He said, the problem is not the direct payment system. Is the problem the service provider? And if the problem is the service provider, CEO, NCO, have we spoken to those people who say to us, show us, if a student is saying, the allowance did not come into my account, show us on your side that you have sent it. If that student is saying the allowance did not come into my account, ask for that student to show you their account. There should be a way for us to have the evidence on both sides. So that, because at the end of the day, it's NSFAS. You are the one who has been given the responsibility to disperse the allowance. So first of all, can we have a comms unit set up? And we need a commitment on a date today. A date today. Tell us if you've made some advancements there. You don't sounding like you have, but maybe you have. Give us a commitment on when you would have put up a comms unit. And if it's up, tell us it's up. That's the first thing. No matter if it's two people or one person, something must be up. And that person must not only be communicating when you have press briefings. That person must communicate every day when there are advancements that are made. Every day you are doing work, and you need to be able to communicate that work to students, firstly. Secondly, we need a meeting with this honorable Manani's, with the service providers. And can you see how close we now have to get to the work? Ideally, we should not, as Parliament, have to get this close. But those are public funds that we vote for. We all press like sheep. We used to, before you came to Parliament, there were buttons we had to press to vote for these budgets. Now, of course, our chief will speak on our behalf. I think Honorable Kakao, you also missed that. Honorable Zondo, you also missed that. Honorable Pileshe, yourself as well. We used to press a button to say we are voting. Now we get spoken on behalf of. We don't even have that agency of actually pressing the button yourself. Now we're speaking on our behalf and saying we are voting for those budgets, or voting for or against. But even you, Honorable Shikwamba, if you say you don't support this budget, because the ANC has majority and whichever other parties come together, your name is on that budget. You were in this National Assembly that voted for that budget. So we actually are going to have to get to a point where those service providers, they must come and tell us what they are doing. But before that, we need a 2-page. I like research. Big banks versus fintechs versus buying the solution ourselves. Actually, Honorable Yabo, you came in on that one in the end. Initially, I was saying a 2-pager between big banks and fintechs. But now, in fact, let's add us having bought the solution ourselves. A proper research. What led us to a point where we said, okay, maybe actually the fintechs can do it. There might have been some progressive thinking that came with giving smaller or whatever businesses opportunities to also upscale and grow. Okay, why did we only take the fintechs, maybe not balance it out between big banks and fintechs? There's a question here from a young person that says, why 4 of them? Why 4 companies? My only thing is that probably you guys don't have the capacity to maybe one fintech to have the capacity. So if you take 4, I don't know, but you need to account on that. Why did we use 4? How did we get here? What would have been the pros and cons of using the big banks? What are the pros and cons? What are the risks we knew we are taking when we decided on the fintechs? And what could have been the route of buying the solution ourselves? Well, immediately when Honorable Yabo said that, I think Honorable Pile and Ivan said capacity. Then we need to speak about accreditation of accommodation. What is our plan on boosting capacity? We are accrediting way too slowly. It's nothing we can be proud of. It just makes us look flimsy. When we are saying to institutions we want to take upon that responsibility, but we're not catching up. At some point, we must also have la spirit. I don't know how to term it, DG. When people think that the decisions we are taking or have taken had no foundation or no premise or we also have to have the spirit of saying, no, this is why we decided to go this way. And we are going to get it right. We also need to have that fear of saying, as an employee of NSFAS, Abba, they think we can't do this. But clearly, if you have employees who don't want to be brought along on a change management system, I don't know what you call it, you refer to Nahao and how eventually they came on board, but it was difficult. The turnaround strategy. If you have resistance on a turnaround strategy within employees, it's impossible that you're going to have agency or an internal conviction who want to have the decisions, the policies, the plans of the entity to be successfully executed. But I also want to ask you, colleagues, what are you doing to empower your employees, your staff? What plans do we have in place to upskill, reskill, mental health support, all of those things? But yeah, so let's have the boosting of accreditation plan. So how are we planning on boosting the numbers on accreditation? That must be accompanied by an explanation on the human resource. Do we have the human resource? So we need to accredit 10,000 beds. in a classroom, it would say a ratio, like 1 teacher to 30 learners in a class, right? So 1 accreditor to how many beds, or whatever it is. Then we know what can you do, by when can you do it, and then we know this is the time frame we're working with, right? Because now I feel personally we're very vague. We need a clear query system turnaround strategy. We spoke about how the query system is not integrated, doesn't speak to one another. By when would we have come up with that plan? What also concerns me, colleagues, is that the last time we were together, we went and we spent 2 days at NSFAS. We called it a working session. When we had that working session, we said we had empowered the call center to be able to answer more when a student calls. That for me says the people who are dealing with queries, they should have been covered in that. So why are we still having people who can't deal with queries? Why are we having people who feel like they must run around to find information? Because we said last year that people at the call center now have the capacity to, they don't have to take as like where they literally have to pause the call and they ask one, but there's a system that's been put in place so that they can have a spreadsheet of the student and where things are. Where's that and what has happened to that? Because that already should be capacity. Because I'm understanding the queries don't only come through call centers. They'll come through an email, they'll come through an SMS, a WhatsApp, the chat, and all of those things. Tell me now, with the WhatsApp, the last time we spoke last year in the working session, you said you have a limited, my understanding that you said we have a limited amount of chats or something that we can do a day. I don't know if that also includes the calls. So it's almost like your airtime runs out as NSFAS in that day. Have we increased its capacity now? And where are we? Because it has to increase, right? We can't be where we were last year. Unless you say, hey, we don't have the funds to increase it or whatever it is. We then need okay, so once we the investigations, we need to know how much you're spending on that. That was very clear. And then after the 2-pager that gives us some research on the big banks versus fintechs versus the buying of the solution, have the meeting with the service providers. But also I want to probe into the scope of the investigations. And Honorable King asked, what is the scope of the investigations? And I hope for me, it includes the capacity of the companies that we appointed. Given that, you know, it's around SARS, given the issues around them being registered or not registered, they're using net bank as piggy banking on net bank's capacity, so Sememshos is the same. You know, all of those things. So in just giving us clarity on that, giving us clarity on what Alta is saying and all of that. But I also want to say, Honorable Shikwamban, you know, this issue of people sounding funded or sponsored views. So those who support the direct payment system, vis-a-vis those who don't sponsor it. Everyone for me right now sounds sponsored. All their views sound sponsored. Those who are saying that the system, the direct payment system, is a progressive move, and those who are very extreme in how they support it. Those who are saying that it doesn't work. You think these are also very extreme. So you even be like, how do you know such detail? Who's informing you of such detail as a student leader? So I think the best way for us to resolve this is an investigation that is clear. And I am comforted by the fact that it's not yourself as the board who are doing this investigation, but it's someone who is independent, because there has also been questioning of the board, your biasness, where you lie, your interests, and all of that. So I think having an external body that is going to investigate this reassist us. So going back to your scope, it must, I don't know how far you are, but the thing that's in my thinking, in our thinking, should be covered in this investigation is the capacity of these companies, the allegations of the former CEO or the CEO Nongoko, allegations of him being involved, the process and how they were appointed, their capacity, the SARS issues, the registration issues, but also the issues relating to, and I don't know if these should be encompassed in the investigation or if you have the capacity now to address them, whether the companies are dispersing or not dispersing. There are those who say, they are lies. I've heard that narrative. That it's not true that students have not students have received the wrong allowances. I think that's the one I heard. That it's not true that students have received the wrong allowances. And that's why I'm saying those bank accounts or those bank statements or those statements are very important. We need day zero on appeals. We need to set a date. Today, or the next week, we need to set a date on day zero of appeals. When are we going to close the appeals for the 2023 academic year? Our greatest concern now, colleagues, is that we are in September. We are in September and we are so inundated, DG, with matters relating to the 2023 academic year. I don't know when we're going to start planning for 2024. And a lot of the challenges we're having this year is because we weren't proactive enough on 2023. All of a sudden, the student accommodation cap became an issue in 2023. Why didn't we close it in 2020? We were supposed to have the uproar in 2022, December, but we had it in Feb 2023. So we need to plan better. Whatever matters or decisions we're making for the 2024 academic year must be clear in 2023, so that if there are any different views within the sector, then we're able to address them before the 2024 academic year starts. And we're able to find one another and iron issues out. So we need to have a day zero date, a commitment. What is our commitment, ACO, on appeals? And we push it. We push for that date we push for us to have achieved the conclusion of appeals by that particular date so that we can start planning for 2024. Those are our recommendations, colleagues. Then, of course, we've asked about the scope of the investigation, the issue of sabotage, the 30% small companies. Then we need to, once you've indicated to us what your commitment is, and it has to be a date, preferably, if they have given you a date also, so that we can also commit to by when we want to have met with yourselves and receive that report. When are we opening the 2024 applications? And when are you presenting the 2021-2022 performance report? Performance and financial report. A lot of the issues that Honorable King and Honorable Litsiye were speaking to should be covered in those reports. Why did you do with the money? You're saying that, and I guess that's we were chatting with Memu Dibaya, that even on the issue that was raised, that we fought as this committee that we have an increased budget for administration, no matter how small it is. And we need to see if you've used that money accurately and how it's empowered your system. Right now, we're not feeling confident because the system doesn't look empowered. I think I'd like to leave it there. I think we've been quite clear on what we expect. And now we'll just take responses from yourselves. It is 13:54. We have to be in the house by 3 o'clock, so we need 15 minutes to walk up. So if we can please have concluded this meeting by 14:40, that would be really appreciated, because we have questions. Okay. We would really appreciate that. Which four TV colleges are we piloting the accommodation process with? And then can you just explain also to me the difference between the registering of accommodations vis-a-vis the accreditation of it? I think I understand the accreditation of it clearly, but just maybe the registering confuses me a bit. Just also quickly on some of the comments from the students who are trying to follow the engagement on the various platforms. As far as I know, provisionally funded means that you're funded. I mean, I remember the CEO Nongoko used to always say this, that when a student says provisionally funded, it means they're funded. Now, there are students who are still confused about them not being accepted, nor rejected, and now they are evicted. There's the issue of bank charges that continues to be a conversation. And I think it was board member Matiwane who said, well, what is also not being discussed as part of why it was important to better coordinate the direct payment system is that some of the companies that had been or that institutions had outsourced to had greater bank charges, and students are not aware of that. But can we have clarity on the issues of bank? Students are saying the bank charges or the charges of this direct payment system that we're using are very high. They absolutely do not believe in your 72-hour turnaround strategy for next year. They absolutely do not believe in it. And the way in which they articulate it indicates a massive trust deficit. They don't trust that you can achieve such a thing. And for me, it goes back to the conversation last year that we had about the Rolls Royce versus the Corolla. For them right now, the 72 turnaround strategy, 72-hour turnaround strategy sounds like a Rolls Royce, whereas all they want right now is their Corolla. You know, and we must be honest to say we've always found ourselves falling flat on that. Our ideas are brilliant, but our implementation thereof is very problematic. Yeah, the other ones I think I will send to yourselves because they are more direct ones that you know I think. Can we also be allocated a person, you know, who will deal with our queries again? We keep asking every time we meet with you. We ask for this. Can someone please, someone who's capable and, you know, also someone who can do it, you know, because sometimes the people that are sent to us are not sure of their capacity to do what we need them to do. And it's really becoming everyone knows that NSFAS doesn't respond. Sorry, I just want to check that we've covered everything. What informs us going to roads and bits first to engage on the direct allowance challenges? I think the chair had said we're going to go to roads and then bits first. Why exactly are we going to those two? And then Shelley, also in your opening remarks, spoke about a transformation, you know, that is sought within the employees. When we speak about transformation, what do we mean by transformation? I think that term can be subject to interpretation. Then the suspension of the CIO. So, okay, he's resigned now, but had we suspended him, what we've gotten from the sentiments that colleagues have shared is that it was due to the fact that that unit was dismally performing, particularly in relation to the late disbursement of allowances recently. Have we looked at that unit? One thing to, to say the leader of the unit must go. Another is to also look into the entire ecosystem of the people in that unit. I don't think it can be one person alone, you know, yeah. And then I think we continue to be vague about students, the defunding. There are students who are unjustly defunded. Did we go back to them? Did we say, oops, sorry, that was a mistake? You are now funded. Have we ensured that the institution knows that and all of that? So have we fixed it on paper? And then those who so those who are unjustly defunded, so those who were not supposed to be funded, have we fixed that? And then what are we going to do to ensure that next year we don't fund students who were not supposed to be funded? You know, it's better when a person knows from the beginning of the year that I have money, then for them to think that they have money and then they don't have money. Yeah, I think that's it. Colleagues, we have lunch outside. It's 14:01. We have lunch outside. Those of you who cannot wait until 14:40, please do grab your lunch and we'll have a working lunch. Those of you who can wait, you'll have your lunch later. So I'm not gonna stop the meeting. Please pace yourselves. Advance 10. Pace yourselves throughout the responses because we don't have time. All right. Chair and DG, those are the comments and questions. What is most important, Chair, CO, is give us actionables. Give us actionables. Here's the problem, what we're going to do. Here's the problem, we don't know what we're going to do, but we can give you an answer in 2 weeks. That's what we need. Yes, Chair. We need a body break. We can give you a body break if you commit that by 14:40 DG, you will all have concluded. All right. Colleagues, let's have a 5-minute body break, please.
Maybe they must say they don't need a body break. They need to cook up.
Representatives of everyone was saying. Now we're
You want to cook up? I think very
coming up with this tried to make it clear. Okay, so I'll just publish them. Then I'll publish them and then we can, because what we need now is to sit as succinct.
You don't have time on your own. I want to investigate this guy. I don't trust him. I want you to investigate this. You know the IFP was the killing of our country. No councillors. Yeah, my councillors are dying. Which one? My councillor died. For this one,
that's fine.
No,
thanks, teacher.
There's no one councillor.
Okay.
Your councillors are resigning. That's it. No, I don't resign because what can you do? Your car. It's short end. You only see fast money. But they're not giving you. You ever think that guy will have survived? He was in the so, no, do you think he will have survived? Okay, we told him think about that. And then he wants
One declaration for the seats.
Then you kill him.
One declaration for the
You kill him.
But I'm saying to share. And then you want to do the convention. Then I'll do the convention. You could have literally filled it 4 people so that people. I'm saying field it like I don't have to introduce both reports. I can give one report to introduce so that we give someone possibility to and if that's so maybe after 10 let me before we leave the chambers. So before we leave the chambers, and then, but I'll help that person prepare.
Next week, we just everything will it be? Someone's asking if we will it be. It is
Must be fast. It says IR and NRF or just CSR?
Okay, I'm just.
No, if that's your view, colleagues, I don't have a problem. But students are following online.
Yeah, my students will get this.
We'll send them the screenshots.
Is this
We'll post them to. They're on PMG anyway.
Is this this in South African learning instruction research?
I can't see the
Briefing by the this
mining extraction.
Yeah, mining extraction research development in institution. And then there'll be there'll be this and then this one solution. And then I think the last one is Coachella reports. They want it because they say they want to prepare electricity extensions.
No, don't have to have it.
Okay. Thanks, Chef. And then there's also the Sage on Tuesday, the 19th event. 25th anniversary.
I don't think I'm available.
It's gonna be in Gauteng. It's gonna be
You're ready to answer? Okay. Members are saying we can't take long because we will be in trouble if we're not in the chambers on time. I think trying to think on how we can we apply for time, like in the evening, something just for responses. You said all our Fridays are gone.
It's plenary in the morning.
Okay, let's do this. We're gonna try and align calendars, yours and ours, so that you can expand on matters you want to expand on. I mean, I think what's most important is for you to tell us what you're doing on the defunded students. Yeah, one, that defunding issue is important. Appeals, when are we closing that? So defunded, unfunded. What you need to confirm is have you refunded students who were not unjustly defunded? You need to say yes, where are we? And then on the appeals, when are we closing that? And then yours is you can't say much on this. Unless that's what I want. But I'm saying now, you can't say much on because some of these issues are legal issues. Right? So but you need to bring us into confidence that you have a plan on how you're going to close this, not close, but conclude this investigation process with with the disbursements. It's lingering. It's a problem that's just lingering over in our work that we do. We don't know if it's And then I think for me those are the three most important ones. And just then when you come for that comprehensive action plan on all these matters that we have raised, that's where we need to also avoid some of these things being repeated in 2024. Because, for example, the issues that King raised, those are the investigation to be addressing those issues. I don't know. Thank you. The investigation. Yeah, I think the issue for me, a lot of them must be compiled under this action plan. We need an action plan, guys. How are we getting out of this mess? How are we closing up this from 2023, and how are we moving into 2022? Them.
Previously, they've not given us information. This was supposed to be. Actually, maybe. Like you said, we need the person. I wish we could get one.
Even as in the past. You know? All right, I'd like to believe we're all back.
Sorry, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. It's 14:11, and at 14:40, I would really appreciate that we conclude. I will literally start telling people that they've got 2 minutes left. DG, Chair, and ACO. We need way forward. That's all we need, right? So I'm going to hand over to you, Chair, and then you delegate accordingly. And please make sure you leave sufficient time for our Dr. Nkosnati session. That's, you know, when the DG introduces any of us in a space, you'll say our honorable members, you know, and that's just because it sounds like manager DG. Yeah, then we'll hand over to the Director General, Dr. Sishi. So over to you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, once again. I see we've got time constraints. The temptation to respond to the questions and the inputs made here remains. But if you allow me, Honorable Chair, I would like to propose that we compile the inputs and the questions and the suggestions into an action plan and present this to the committee at the time elected by the committee. In that plan, we will be very comprehensive. We will address some of the questions that were raised here. But just one question I'll respond to from Honorable Yabo on what the board is doing in the role of the EXCO of the board. That's the only one that I'll address. And if you allow us, Honorable Chair, I will ask the CEO, the acting CEO, to respond to 2 questions that are pretty urgent: the defunding matter and appeals. And if you allow us, that's all that address at this point in time. Honorable Yabo, on the role of EXCO, pleasantly surprised that you read our act to that extent. A decision has been taken already that EXCO is going to be more hands-on than usual. As a matter of fact, 60% of EXCO members, as we speak, are already in Cape Town. For no purpose other than that, the acting CEO has been spoken to,
So we understand the meaning of the word administer, and that's what we'll do at this point in time, and we'll explain that much later when we discuss our action plan with this committee. At this point in time, Honorable Chair, I'll hand over to the acting CEO to address those two matters. I assume he'll be done in 5 minutes, after which the good doctor will say. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will start with a question of day 0 for the appeals. We have quickly analyzed it with the acting COO, and we have 2 dates that we want to present for you, Chairperson. The first one is the 30th of September for all internal independent appeals, except where there is a different reason that is being presented by the student. So all appeals that depend on internal dependencies like our systems or our human capital, that we will resolve by 30 September. Then those that are dependent on the student or dependent on institutions, then we propose the date of 30/0. So the ultimate date 0 then will be 30 October 2023. That is on the appeals side. Then on the unjustly defunded student, we had indicated that we had a cohort that had duplicate applications. It consisted of 14,703 students. Those students have been funded and they have been allocated with the balance of the students that are still, we have currently treated 1,229. Those are still unfunded, and we have stated the reasons that we had relating to missing parental relationships or latency data from AMS. I hope that answers the unjustly defunded. Thank you.
All right, I think maybe we weren't clear enough earlier on, Chair, but I don't want members to be confused. What we are suggesting, Honorable, or what has been suggested, and will be guided by yourselves, in fact, is that we would like NSFAS to take in all of that we've shared with them today. There are very clear issues, and there's almost categories of issues. So it's defunded versus funded, it's appeals, it's accommodation, it is the direct payment system, which in itself has categories. So there are systemic issues, and there are yeah, you know, yeah, and then what else am I leaving out? And communication and industry accommodation actually are also categories, right? Where we have accreditation issues, we have the cap itself. So yeah, so it's funding, which is defunded, funded unjustly, and justly or unjustly. There is student accommodation, which is the accreditation process, the cap issues. I don't know what else I'm leaving under there. There's the direct payment system, which has its categories which we agree to. And then a matter we haven't left out, which is sort of also underlying, is integration with like the data from universities and colleges and us, right? Which is a big issue. So it will affect your ability to pay allowances to the institutions. It will affect a lot of matters that I can't think of from the top of my head right now, but just that integration of data between NSFAS and institutions of higher learning is important. And then, so there are those categories, colleagues, and what we are wanting from yourselves is a plan of action. We've already said, last time we coined something to have a day zero, we were dealing with the certification backlog. And DG, we must say there was such great improvement made. It was actually remarkable. From when we got here as a committee in 2019, literally towards the end of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, Honorable Mananis, we saw progress, where it was also very clear that those who have not been certified or where there is a backlog, what exactly are the reasons for that backlog? And we want to get it to a very minute number, for example, on that backlog on appeals. We say this is why we can never resolve it, type of thing. And that number has to be small, it can't be massive. So we are requesting from yourselves that in the next 2 weeks, and we're going to try and align calendars. And members, you will guide me if you agree to this or don't agree to this. In the next 2 weeks, you'll come back to us with a clear plan of action. If you have questions on how to outline that information to a way that it will really answer our questions, call us, call the department, consult with DG Sotlikwa. DG, we're thinking of unpacking the information like this. What do you think? Because what we don't want is for us to be actually helping you with that in the meeting. So rather call us, phone call away, myself, Anele, DG, and say, how can we best display this information so that we can have a more effective meeting in 2 weeks' time? And our meeting is very clear. It's saying this is the way forward. And it gives clear accountability for the questions members have asked. So you're still going to answer the questions members have asked, but we want it in a very systemic way, and not haphazard, not all over the place. And in that meeting, also, what really should be our guiding force is preparing for 2024. So that's a suggestion, honorable members. I would like to get indication from yourselves if we agree collectively on this way forward. Or any dissenting views? We agree. Okay. Honorable Chair, fine, Mamsilia. Right. Babzond. Hey, let not Jacques inconvenience.
All right. Think about
Yeah, processing.
Think about
Okay, I'll come to you now. Honorable Yabo, we're fine. Okay. Honorable Saka, I'll give you a minute.
Thank you, Chair. Just clarity again. So we have the deadlines for the internal dependent appeals and the external ones, but then you gave us a figure of the unjustly funded students. So what are you going to do about those? That's what's missing. So the 14,703, are you going to, are they just revoked or funding? What are you doing? Are you going to now fund them because you have funded them before? What are we doing with those?
Okay, in fact, the students are going to want to know what we discussed in this meeting. I think the one on appeals is very clear. Can you just be more clear on, you know what the question is? Those who you unjustly defunded. So a child you were not supposed to defund and you defunded them. Have you found them? Have we fixed that? That's what we need to know. Because that's a massive question that is outside. Then just clarify this. The allowances for this month, are we up to date? And then when are you having a meeting with the direct, with the service providers? Also, are you telling students that you're trying to solve this problem? Like, are you telling students that, guys, we are aware that these people are making blunders and we are talking to them? and we are hoping that the challenges on direct payments should have been resolved by 10 October or whatever. So it's those 5 matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. The 14,703 students that I referred to as unjustly defunded have been reinstated. So they are now funded. It is 31,224 students that remain not funded. And we have stated the reasons as financial eligibility or picking up additional information about the parents or academic eligibility. So the 21,224 are the ones that remain unfunded. Those are the ones that we are going to conclude by the 30th of September to say that we have not received or we have received the relevant information. Communication on challenges around the direct payments. Each time we have a hiccup, Chair, we do issue a communication. Like on Thursday, when we had a hiccup on paying on the 31st of August, we did issue a communication and try to give timelines as to when we expect to resolve.
Okay, and then when you dispersed when?
We dispersed on the 2nd of September, it was Saturday, 25 institutions, and the last institution was dispersed on Monday.
So everyone has been paid?
Everyone has been paid.
Have you told them that?
From the university, the dispersed were paid on the 25th and they were paid on time.
Okay, so hold on. So have you informed students that? Have you communicated that, like on your platforms?
We communicated that all of them have been paid, but we are planning to issue.
Okay, please issue that today, right? And so that if, for example, an honorable Khafal is saying that's not true, not everyone has received their allowance. You must have a space where you say we've sent, and then others will say no, I haven't received it. Then you are able to properly trace, if there's a glitch or whatever. So I want to suggest that please send out a communique today. On your Facebook doesn't need a service provider, doesn't need anything. Just give a statement or whatever and say according to us as NSFAS, everyone is now should now have received their allowance. That affords space for someone to say, I have not received mine. And then, sorry, there was you helped him now. I lost my train of thought. Okay, I'll come back. Honorable Mananiso?
I want to make an addition with regards to the communication to say, for those who haven't received, they must contact such and such person, specific person. Because we don't want this thing that the portal doesn't work.
Okay, Honorable Litzia?
Sorry, Chair. The ones that have been paid now includes the newly reinstated kids, that is the first point. Number two, on the 2 days, the 30th September internal appeals, and the 30th October, that depends on institutions and document. If those dates are not met, who is putting their head on the block that they will resign? Because I'm serious. I've seen people do prostitution because they don't have money. It's not a joke. So who is going to resign when this thing happens? From those who are responsible. Thank you.
All right. So can you please answer those questions? And when we say all allowances are out, we mean that so all the allowances we owe them for the year, they should have by now. Is that what we mean? All right. We would like to respond.
So the
first time around appeals, Chair, if we are talking backward, sorry, Chair. The thing is, students are submitting appeals as and when we are rejecting them. So I also don't want us to close on the 30th of September, yet students still have 30 days with which, when they appeal, we must conclude that appeal. So on the basis of what we presented, the days that we're talking about is on the basis of what we have right now. Not the students that are going to apply, because then it will be unfair to the students if we're saying we've done everything and we have not satisfied their appeals. I think that's the first qualification I need to put. The second one, we are now funding T3 into the colleges. And the process requires, and we can separate it for the committee, but the process requires that when you are funded and you are rejected, that student also has an option to appeal. So again, within this deadline, we can't then include T3 students that we are now rejected, because we must still give them, as for the process, an option to apply. So I just want to qualify the days was within that context, Chairperson. And then what this also means, especially for the 30th of October, it then means that when a student says, I passed and we have a record from an institution that says they did not progress, when that date comes, we will then close that appeal so that we conclude. So I also feel we need to also just the ramifications from a student perspective, but I agree because we need to put in those dates. I just thought those are specific guidance. Then around the disbursement, you asked a question to say, what does provisionally funded mean? So we have students that we assess and we say, you qualify for NSFAS, meaning you are provisionally funded. We then get a registration from an institution that claims for a particular course. We then validate that registration record, and then we say, you have validated your record, and now we can pay you. So in terms of those that we are paying are those that we validated and we successfully validated their records. If you look at the presentation, Chair, there are exceptions. Some of the students that are not paid is because there are exceptions. Meaning when we received their registration, we found that there was a fault with their registration, and therefore we can't commit payment for those students. And there's various reasons. Sometimes institutions have increased the cap, sometimes it's not even a funded course, sometimes it's not even the correct articulation pathway. So what we are committing in terms of payment is those that we have successfully validated on a reg, and that is what we are doing. I just thought I need to put in that context, Chair. Thanks.
All right. You know what I'm hearing, and we said we're going to be done at 14:15. I thought would like to afford the DG a moment to speak. What I'm also picking up on this is that we, like ACO and CISO, you yourselves were not in sync. Because ACO said 30 September, 30 October, you said, look, it's a bit more complex because there's, when the T3 people apply, they're going to, and then someone can even appeal an outcome on an appeal. So they appeal, you just say, I want to appeal this. So I don't know, and just some of the, I'm not going to take your hand now, honorability. I'm also not taking honorable Zondos. I'm also not taking as nudge on my right. What we need a better solution, and I don't know what that solution looks like. But it also needs, given the staggered approach of, given the staggeredness of the sector, you also need a system that accommodates that. But I also don't think you can have, and I thought that the appeals, what do we call it? We put together a new committee this year to deal with appeals. The appeals tribunal was going to assist us with these cases where there's an appeal on an appeal. And it does happen that there's a child who you've rejected many times. And when they speak to us, they definitely should be funded by yourself according to what we even know NSFAS to, or what we know NSFAS to catering for, or who we know NSFAS to, or who we know NSFAS to be catering for. So I think some of the challenges that we have, and we're really hoping that you also take some time, real time, over the next 2 weeks to think of what system. I wish you could think in a way where it's almost like a clean slate in your head. What would be the best, from your own thinking? Chair, Kosa, I don't know if there's anything you would want to also add. Okay. And then I think at this point I'd like to hand over to you, Tifi. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think that you have actually closed the meeting with your comments and that have been now agreed upon as comments that will inform the action plan. I think any addition beyond that point will the only thing that I could do in my 5 minutes just to make additions to NSFAS directly that are really important for us as a matter of emphasis and not as a matter of now there is another set of comments that are being made. For example, the issue of a turnaround strategy within a week is an emphasis that we are making. It's already there in the comments of the chair. The issue of engaging on all the Auditor General's issues immediately so that we are able to inform the turnaround strategy. It's linked. 2 points are linked. We have to emphasize the requirement for a complete response to the student memo within a week. We have to emphasize that point, which is a matter between the department and NSFAS that must be finalized. And I think the acting CEO and the DG in the department must be immediately be in communication to make sure that we meet that deadline of within a week. Obviously, Chair, your comments to me are important in that in my report to the Minister as a shareholder, they need no interpretation, no addition and subtractions, as they will be communicated to the Minister. So that it informs the final decision the Minister is eager to make, so that this sector and the people of South Africa can finally say NSFAS is on a trajectory of improvement they wish to see. There are other matters which we have mentioned, but we touched on them, but they are also equally important. And one of them is the issue of the Werkman's report that is due within a week, Chair. And that report is important in that whatever recommendations that are made, they will also inform the shareholders finalization on some of the issues that you wish to make. And I take into account that the SIU report is one matter that is handled separately by the police, but it's a matter of interest to us because once that report is out there, it will bring so much confidence to the public that if there is any wrongdoing, it is being acted upon. And I think even though I'm not emphasizing it, I wish to keep it right within our area of important things to be done. Chair, the Chair has made some comments, Chairperson, around this transition where powers of the executives and that of the Chair. I would like that to be done within a very good legal advice. because we also don't want to blur the lines between the executive and the chair. I think when that happens, it could actually take us into more problems. So my advice is that this might be seen to be a practical thing in the light of what's happening, but I think we err on the side of the law. And I think I'm well advised in Kuta right now, and I suggest that he shares this view with the legal team at NSFAS. I want to end an operational matter on slide 9 of your presentation. I picked up something that concerns slide 9, the last column on pending KYC. I hope you have that in your hands, Acting CEO. There are 5 universities, in fact 6 universities that worry me. But the biggest worry is with the University of South Africa, because there are 31,000 students at the University of South Africa who are on pending. Now, pending might also mean these are ghost students. Now, if it's 31,000, it is too much. But if it is, in the case of UNISA, these are students that, because of the nature, UNISA is a distance learning, so it is different to the rest of other universities. I will understand that. My request is that they look into this issue separately. It's the Northwest University, with about 16% of students sitting in that category. It is the University of Hotel, with 44% of students sitting there. There are about 4,000 students there, but that's why I started with UNISA, which is 31,000. At Fort, it's 44%, but it's 4,000 students that are sitting in that category. Stellenbosch is 10% of students, small numbers. At UWC, it's 10%, and VETS is 12%. I think those requires just you must satisfy yourself that there aren't these issues that I'm worried about. My last comment is thank you to you, our chair. We appreciate your leadership. We appreciate the direction that you have provided us. And as a department, we are ready to support NSFAS. And but the minister is eager to receive our request. And I'm not alone. Besides the DG with me, there's Mr. Malon Mandela, the advisor to the minister. Together, we will express the concern of the portfolio committee. I think each individual member of the portfolio committee, in their inputs, it was very clear that despite the position that they tabled, there is a deep concern about an important service that is on the verge of collapse in our hands at the time of our leadership. It shall not be. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, DG. And thank you very much to all honorable members and colleagues. We will all be sending out from the committee secretary dates. It might be odd. It might be odd hours because we're going to have to work around the parliamentary program. But I think if we apply to the churches indicating the urgency of this meeting, they might grant us that because we need to close it. Aside live, and it was never possible for us to close it in 3 hours because this is a massive challenge that we have. So we've unpacked the concerns. We gave the recommendations on the way forward. What we need you to do now is firstly to account and to then come to us on a way forward, having listened to what members had, because members don't only complain, and I hope you can hear the suggestions, or not complain, but rather raise concerns. They also make suggestions. And also in that, we have to get the report. I think it will be important for us to get the financial and performance reports 2021, 2022. Because that will also assist us on how we move forward, because surely the AG will also have recommendations coming from that. With that being said, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much.
Acting COO. Today you are saying you've got 30,000. We're saying when I'm and if you are not finished today, who is going to resign? Don't tell me. Now you are saying, now you are telling me about moving target. The reason why your age is not be verified by age last year is because of this, the unmeasurable targets. May I want measurable things? What you have, no. Out of them, I said 30 September, 30 September, internal ones,